Welcome back to Out and About Today. I'm Pam Wheeler. Our next guests are navigating the new world of virtual school for their first grader. Rosyln, Mize, and Treux are here via Zoom to talk about surviving and, of course, thriving in this new world. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Hi.
I've had the pleasure of getting to know you guys a little bit because our daughters are in the same first grade class. I think they were in the same kindergarten. So there's a history. But this is a brand new world. And before we get to that, I want you to tell our viewers a little bit about yourselves.
Okay. Well, I'm a college professor. I teach business at Nashville State. I've lived in Nashville for about 20 years, East Nashville for 11 or 12 years. And I am just surprised with how everything has gone the last few months. I'm probably just as taken aback as everyone else. True?
I kind of, right before the quarantine, just like everyone else who were either, furloughed or let go, I was, suddenly unemployed. And for many years, I worked in the service industry in Nashville. I'm actually from near Cleveland, Ohio, but I've lived in Nashville since 2007. And I came here for music. I was playing drums, so that was why I was in the service industry. And just recently, now I'm actually a pod supervisor for 4 children, 3 are third graders, and 1 is Amelia, our first grader.
And we're going to talk about that pod situation for sure. We're going to get to all that. Tell me, we want to hear from folks on what maybe they've accomplished, or maybe that's too big of a word, but something you've taken on or maybe done away with during these 5 months. Speak to that.
We've done away with expectations. Like we don't know really what's coming or going anymore, but we just try to, keep Amelia some sense of normalcy for her and just keep her smiling and happy. Everything else is kind of just seems a little less important when you think about how important it is that we are safe and having a good time, like in our small little space. So, Rosyln.
Yeah, I was going to say that we've done away with our kitchen, but we've done away with expectations too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
away with our sanity apparently. So
and our sanity. Yeah.
I relate and resemble some of that. So just recently from this taping, it was announced that Metro Public Schools will not return until at least fall break. Talk to me about when that announcement came. Were you relieved? Were you disappointed? Where's your head at?
I'll definitely say that I was relieved to hear that it's what we expected. We expected that it would remain virtual. I really thought that Dr. Battle would announce virtual through the end of the calendar year, but I understand that maybe in the plan is to phase children back in, the younger children first and then the older children. But I was really relieved because I think the situation that we have with the pod, it is a good one and it's working for us. Now, if our situation were completely different, and if we were trying to work from home, or if we were school teachers or essential workers, I may have had a lot of anxiety about that decision. But for us, it was a welcome one.
True.
Yeah, I agree with Roz.
Let's talk about the pod now. What does the pod look like?
Well, the pod is 4 kiddos who, actually a good friend of mine from years ago had posted on Facebook that she was looking for, someone who could, just supervise the kids over summer. It was more of like all the camps had closed. So I was like, hey, I could be that person. I could have fun with these kids and take them, on little field trips. But it kind of turned into something called Camp Treux, which is just one of the kids named it after me because I guess that's what you do with camp. But we had a lot of fun. It really, I don't know, I guess there were a lot of big feelings through the whole thing. And I just was trying to be empathetic and emotionally just try to be there for them. And then when we found out that school was going to continue, I was just like, this is probably what I was meant to do, and I just didn't know it. So it kind of just fell into place at the right time, you know? But again, what the pod looks like is a room in a house with kids in it, and they're all very close. So I have a lot of, like, you know, just micromanagement, you know, technological micromanagement and kid micromanagement.
Right. So what's the goal? What's your goal running the pod? What are the parents' goal? And we only have a minute left. This time just flies when you're on this show somehow. What's the goal of the pod?
Okay.
To keep the children sane and to keep them feeling loved, and to give them an education, or at least to support them in their education. Yeah.
And quickly, are the kids engaged?
They are. They're amazingly engaged. I mean, we have our issues too, and they're big deals, you know, but for the most part, they're on their, you know, little headsets and their laptops, and it just, you know, it looks like a little startup in there, you know.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off. Time just flies. I think we could have a whole show just on the pod. Maybe we could talk about that later. Treux, Rosyln, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Look for Brent and Chuck to host more theme shows in the upcoming weeks. Until then, you can follow us on your favorite social outlets for breaking news and entertainment, or watch us anytime at outandabout.com.